guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to this afternoon's live stream. And as always, there is plenty to get stuck into. The latest on Jules Kounde, as it appears Chelsea are going to miss out on another key target to Barcelona. All the other potential new targets could be turning our attention to. Bowley's meetings, etc., that coming out last night. We've got loads to get stuck into. Attacking targets potentially. Tuchel wanting up to 4 new signings. And just general bit of unrest and, struggling to offload players that are surplus to requirements. So having had a little bit of an initial bounce with Sterling and Koulibaly coming in, things are starting to take perhaps a little bit of a worrying turn for the worse, in my opinion. Not sort of going mad just yet, but things don't look like they're coming together too well at the moment. But I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by Pys, bro. Thank you for your time, as always. Mate, one place to get started. We won't spend too long on it. I know we talked about it last night on Lawrence's channel, but with Jules Kounde, for me, it looks like he's going to go and join Barcelona. It appears that was his preference all along. It's been a disappointing saga in terms of the pursuit for him. It should have been done last summer. We knew that. We then went into this window thinking, this would be the easiest deal to get done. He'd be the first name through the door. It was then clear that he wasn't a priority target. It was clear that the likes of De Ligt, Koulibaly, Nathan Ake, even Kimpembe were potentially ahead of him. We missed out on De Ligt to Bayern. Ake, City were asking for too much money. We then come running back to Kounde, and it turns out he's not really that keen. Mate, how do you see all this Kounde business? Because for me, all right, it's frustrating that we're going to miss out on another player to Barcelona, but it doesn't really make any sense. I know we've not, acted in the best way with kind of coming back to him when he was keen to join us for a long time. But for me, it makes no sense how Sevilla would be, and Monchi, who's a very hard negotiator, who wants as much money as possible, would be prepared to accept a lesser bid from Barcelona when 20% of that money's got to go to Bordeaux anyway. So if they end up selling to Barca, they're actually getting less money in the long run anyway.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this whole Kounde deal, because he's obviously going to Barca by now. I think Chelsea have pulled the plug, essentially. We haven't really heard of many centre-back targets otherwise yet, but, it's a big week for Chelsea. Todd's out having meals with James Corden and, Premier League executives and stuff, but, while Tuchel's left in the background and while the fans are left in the background annoyed waiting for news. So, hopefully things pick up in the transfer market this week, some bids start going in for players, but in terms of the whole Kounde stuff, I said this yesterday. I think it makes absolutely no sense to accept a lesser bid than Chelsea's. But hey ho, maybe Barcelona have got some good structured deal, or maybe they're paying some cash under the table or something. So I don't know. It's an odd one for sure, but we'll have to see what happens with this. See what the final details are really compared to ours. Obviously, there's a lot of rumours that we didn't send documents, or Tuchel had reservations over his height and all that nonsense, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Fabrizio giving the latest here, just saying that Barca are in direct negotiations with Sevilla for Kounde. Official bid won't be 50 million euros plus 10, and it won't match Chelsea's 55 million bid. It'll be lower with a different structure. Kounde's already agreed personal terms. He's obviously waiting for them. It's frustrating. I mean, it's really disappointing because he would be perfect for us. We need a centre-back desperately. We've missed out on what? We've missed out on De Ligt now because he preferred Bayern. Ake, we were kind of priced out of. Kimpembe doesn't seem that keen to join. And now Kounde seems to be wanting to move on. Mate, just in general, how concerned are you that, obviously the 2 signings we got in, great, but we didn't really face any competition from other clubs, or like stiff competition from other clubs to get them in there. Pretty much open goals. Sterling wanted to come back to London. It was kind of an obvious choice. Koulibaly reacted quickly before any other concrete, interest could come in. I know Juve was sniffing Barca again, potentially. We got that done. But when we face direct competition for key targets, i.e. Kounde, Rafinha, etc., we haven't been able to get these deals done. Is that a concern for you, like going into the window? Because it seems like a lot of players aren't that keen to join.
Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously hard when you're going up against Barcelona for whatever reason. People still want to go there. I know Xavi's building a new project there. It's obviously, it's one of the biggest stadiums in the world, one of the biggest clubs in the world, if not the biggest, behind Real Madrid probably. So, it's understandable, but at the same time, Chelsea should definitely be doing more background work, make sure they absolutely want to join us as soon as we put that bid in. It's definitely been annoying with Rafinha and Kounde. The fact that they want to go to other clubs, but Kounde, I also think it's a little bit of Tuchel's fault because he went for Ake, he went for De Ligt, he
Mm,
went for Kimpembe, and then you go for Kounde, and it's like, well, what message does that send out to the player? You're really fourth choice in our list. So, whereas Kounde has been waiting for the last year for Chelsea anyway, and now we're like, we all got told he'd be the first signing under the new ownership, and then that didn't happen. So I can understand it from Kounde's perspective, but at the end of the day, did Kounde only really want to join Chelsea because we was the only club really in for him at that
yeah.
time anyway? So there's lots of different angles to it. Yeah, I'm definitely panicking a little bit now for sure. You know, I yeah, Tuchel's panicking. Tuchel's annoyed. It's at that stage now where you want players through the door, but it's also at the stage where if you're not careful, you end up buying dead wood and panic signing.
Well,
So yeah.
this is the next problem, isn't it? Because you look at it, and we rightly said that Kounde was probably fourth in the list, wasn't he? He was behind De Ligt, he was behind Ake, he was behind Koulibaly. Do you worry now that we're heading quite a way down that list now, aren't we? We're looking at perhaps fifth, sixth, seventh choices. I know you've got to have big lists, and these guys down the list, they're not terrible players, but are you concerned now, mate, that we're going to potentially be in a situation where we're having, out of desperation, we're having to go for like fifth, sixth, seventh choices on the list, which is never an ideal situation to be in.
Yeah, in terms of some centre back targets, like there's a few on the list that I would actually probably take over Kunde. There's a couple, but
Yeah.
I don't think we're at the stage yet where we're looking at just because they're down the the list, they're necessarily bad players. I still think there's some really good players there. It's just it could come to a point where we do have to make signings and we just make up those numbers and stuff by signing sort of deadwood players or players that don't really um, take our interest and they're just used to get numbers through the door sort of thing. So yeah, we'll see. It's not looking good at the moment as of Tuesday afternoon.
No, it's certainly not. Jem, big up by the way, mate. Oh yeah, I mean, it would be nice for the crown jewels to come, but I think that plane is heading to Barcelona, unfortunately, mate. But I do agree, like mate, Pys, do you find, like Jem saying, do you find the whole saga's a bit weird? Like, do you think in a roundabout way there's still like any chance that Kounde could actually end up coming to Chelsea, or do you think this is dead now?
I think it's dead, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I think Barca are really pushing. It's been made clear to us that Xavi's played a integral role in this. Yeah, I think it's dead now. The Relevo, the reliable Spanish outlet, said yesterday we'd pretty much given Barca a free run. Fabrizio said we were already contacted other centre back targets yesterday in
Mm.
terms of agents and directors. So yeah, I think this one's gone. If Kunde was going to be a Chelsea player, I think he'd already be a Chelsea player by now. Personally, I think there's obviously a willingness as well on Barca's side, on Sevilla's side, for whatever reason to do this deal. So yeah, I don't think he's going to come to Chelsea because as even that tweet says, he's waiting for next steps. He's already agreed personal terms with
Yeah.
Barca. He never gave us the green light since last Thursday
No.
on club or players' side. So yeah, it's not looking good.
No, it's not looking great. I mean, going forwards, mate, how big a blow do you think it is missing out on Kounde? We know there's other targets, but predominantly, we do need to fill that right centre back slot. Despite Tuchel saying he wants to sign a left-sided centre back, do you think missing out on Kounde is a massive blow this window, or do you think if we were to get, say, a Skriniar or a Kimpembe, it wouldn't be as bad, or do you just think either way, Kounde was perhaps the best fit for the back line that we could get this window?
I think he was a really good fit. I also think Tuchel would have played him right wing back, which I didn't want at all.
Yeah, I
So
think he would have played there as well.
yeah, I think that would have not been good from what I've seen. Yeah, I mean Skriniar is a very good player. It's just obviously high price tag. You've
Mm,
got Kimpembe again, very high price tag. This is why I know he'll be calling around agents and stuff, but we need to decide who we want to go for.
mm.
And then just put the money down. Like, don't waste any more time. Don't do any swap deals. The only swap deal I'm potentially interested in is putting Werner into Gvardiol. But
Yeah.
again, I want that to be a 1 day thing. Phone them up. Are you going to accept this? If so, we'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, don't flitter about and mess about. We ain't got time for that anymore. We're not in the
No.
first 2 weeks of the window, so yeah, this is the final stretch now before Everton.
No, it definitely is. By the way, guys, as George said, big up, mate. You don't subscribe, make sure you click the subscribe button. We're about 50 subscribers from the 1K mark, guys. So if you're tuned in now, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. It'd really help me out. Hoping to reach 1K by the end of this week, actually. So 50 more of you. So if you're not subscribed, please do click that subscribe button and make sure you also smash the likes, guys. I mean, Pys, moving away from Jules Kounde, mate. As you would expect, we've been in conversations with other agents trying to desperately get some centre back targets and get some names through the door. Obviously, we've had a kind of a new list come out. Before I talk about Milan Skriniar, I wanted to talk about a name that has reappeared again. Not a centre back, a right back or right wing back predominantly, and that's Denzel Dumfries. Now, we tried to explore him earlier in terms of being involved with the Lukaku deal in some regards. That didn't materialise, but now there's our reporting that Chelsea's focus remains massively on incoming signings, with Denzel Dumfries the most viable target after Kounde. Also going on to say a lack of incoming signings has left Chelsea's potential outgoing young defenders in limbo. What do you think about Dumfries, mate? I mean, yes, we need right wing back cover, but it's like the reported sort of between 40 to 50 million euros for a backup right wing back. It seems a bit steep for me. Unless, as Adam, I read something that Adam Newson tweeted out, and it was his personal opinion, but he felt that perhaps if Dumfries were to be signed, we could see Reece James playing right centre back a lot more, and maybe we do go for maybe a more of a sort of a more regular right wing back, and James fills in a bit more at right centre back, although it's a massive waste of his attacking talents. I mean, firstly, your thoughts on Dumfries, and do you think that's a potential thing we could be looking at if we're really struggling to get centre back targets in?
I think Dumfries could also play centre back. To be honest with you, right centre back, right wing back. I think it's the same sort of thing. He's good defensively. He's fast. He's good on the ball. But yeah, he's more of a wing back. Definitely more of a wing back. I think I read a stat. I think he had more touches in the opposition box last season for Inter Milan than Timo Werner did for Chelsea.
Oh, so actually, I think it was Kai Havertz. I
Was it
think I saw the
Havertz or
same. Yeah, it was
Werner? Yeah,
Havertz. He
one
had
of them. I mean,
more touches than Havertz in the box.
yeah, so he is a proper overlapping wing back. I've watched him for Netherlands. I do rate him. I don't know why Chelsea fans are calling him dead wood or something. I think he's a good player.
Bro,
Um,
mate, Dumfries is dead wood. What are the likes of Alonso, Emerson, fucking Aspie, and all these guys? I mean, come on.
yeah, we'll see though. I think Nazar's fell off a little bit this window,
What,
personally.
since he's transferred to the Standard?
Yeah, I just think in general, bro. A lot of the Chelsea reporters don't really know anything. I think this window, you've seen that. There's definitely,
Yeah,
I've because this, really is what my page is about. I'm posting the news and things like that, and I can definitely notice the difference with some of these reporters. But
yeah.
look, we'll see. I think this is also like an easy link because we was looking at him before,
Mm,
so it's like, well, if they just, oh look, Chelsea looked at him before, should we just put him as a target now?
yeah.
Now Kunde's gone, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest. We'll have to see how this one develops. For Italian news, I only really listen to Di Marzio, to be honest.
Yeah. No, that's fair, mate. I mean, do you know what the problem for me is though, mate? Is that I agree. I wouldn't be against signing Dumfries, but that isn't really a priority signing. It's important that we do strengthen that area, but the most important thing is that we replace the centre backs. So the centre backs. I mean, Reece James, yes, he can play right centre back, but we're massively limiting ourselves then in the right wing back area, which is really important for us. I understand that we need good quality in depth, because as we know, Reece James was a lot of games through injury. There's a lot of games this season. There's 5 subs. There's lots of competitions. Like Dumfries or someone would get plenty of minutes. And, we all say we want good squad depth. So I would agree with that. But, I just feel that we are desperate for centre-back. So really we should be looking at, I mean, Dumfries, I'm sure he could potentially play centre-back. I don't think I've ever seen him play centre-back. But another point that Nizar goes on to say, I think in the same article, mate, I'll just bring it on the screen now, is that where is it here? Let me just find it. Oh, here we go. That Inter Milan would prefer to sell Dumfries than Skriniar. Now, obviously, mate, if you had a choice between the two, would you rather have Skriniar? Obviously,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, I do worry a little bit about like the backup to Reece James, but we haven't really got an out and out right wing back as such. You had Ruben
no,
playing there, you had Hudson-Odoi. So yeah, that's definitely a concern. But yeah, I'd rather an out and out centre back, like to play that right centre back role because he plays right centre back all the time.
yeah.
For country, I think. And I think, is it anyone else? not quite sure where he usually starts for Inter. I think it's Country he plays there. It may be Inter actually. I just know he plays there a lot because I was talking to
Yeah.
someone the other day.
I mean, mate, what are your thoughts on Skriniar? It's expensive, £59 million, but I think we've got to accept now that, this is kind of the price range we're at. If you're looking at the likes of Kimpembe, it's going to be roughly around that. Skriniar, obviously, is going to be, we're quoted that sort of price. Gvardiol would be around that price. Maybe we could involve Timo Werner, and that might bring the price down slightly. But this is kind of the price we're looking at. Even someone like Pau Torres, that 55 million euros mark for release clause. Like, this is the going rate. But do you think now, of the centre-back targets that we've now got left, so your likes of your Kimpembe's, Skriniar, do you think Skriniar is perhaps the most attainable now for a centre-back position?
I don't know about attainable because he's a very high price. He's not someone who wants to leave. He's not someone who Inter want to leave. So I wouldn't really call that an attainable target. It's only really attainable if you pay the price tag, which is a lot. I
Yeah,
mean, it's £60 million reportedly. So yeah, he's a proper defender. Like he's
yeah.
like an old school. Loves to tackle. He's strong. He's not quick, but he makes up for it. From what I've seen. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't be excited as I would with Jules Kounde, but
Yeah.
again, I'd rather have him over signing Dumfries to be honest, and seeing that
Mm.
experiment.
Yeah. I mean, mate, just on it, obviously we know that we're desperate for a centre back to come in. That's the number one priority. We do need wing back backup, but I also feel that we desperately need an attacking player as well. Could you envisage perhaps that if we were looking, at, say, do you think we might look at someone that can potentially play centre back and wing back in one, so that you're filling two positions with one sign? Because we are running out of time. So do you think we might be looking at someone that's more of a versatile player, which is perhaps why we were looking at the likes of Nathan Ake? Do you think that now the target will switch to, well, we need a centre back, but actually we're so desperate to fill two positions, could we be looking for someone that can play wing back / full back and centre back equally as well? So it would make it would make more sense, wouldn't it, to look at it to look at signing some like more of a hybrid player, so someone that is equally comfortable at centre back as they are at wing back, because Tuchel supposedly wants 4 more signings. Now, if we could make one signing that's a centre back and can play at wing back / full back on the right hand side, do you think that would make more sense? Do you think perhaps we're now maybe looking at players that can play both positions so that we can kind of fill 2 positions with one signing and then focus on other key areas of the squad?
Yeah, that's maybe what he's doing with Dumfries. I don't know. I don't know on these
Hmm.
reports. There's not many players that can play right centre back in a free and play
No.
right wing back as well. Right wing back's a very demanding role, and then for right centre back, you need to be. It's just a different positionally, different. Different on the ball. You don't go forward as much. You need to defend more. So it's a very hard sort of mixture to find, I guess. You know.
Yeah, it's a hard mix to find. I mean, mate, I'm just of the names mentioned, obviously like the likes of Kimpembe. Let's stick with him. We explored that a little bit earlier in the window. It's understood that he, like Christophe Gaultier, the PSG manager, he's very much part of the plans there. Kimpembe would be happy to stay. He's obviously come through the academy at PSG. Tuchel obviously has got a working relationship with him from their time at PSG. Obviously, according to some reports previously, the Thiago Silva, a former teammate there, has been in touch with him. Kante, who's an international teammate of his as well, has been in touch. But mate, do you worry that that how we're potentially struggling to convince Kimpembe when Tuchel's already managed him, and we've got like former teammates and international teammates there, and he still doesn't seem that keen on joining? Do you think we should be? I don't know. Do you think we should be pushing a bit more for Kimpembe, or do you think that's unlikely as
He
well?
doesn't want to leave though, bro.
He
Like this is
doesn't.
this is the
Yeah.
problem. Like we can't just like he doesn't. y- It's hard to go for players with the limited time we've got that
Mm,
don't want to leave. You know what I mean? Like there's at least a couple of days trying to convince them. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
mm.
It's so hard. We've left it so late, honestly. This happens every single window, by the way.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I don't know.
it does. I mean, like, I don't know either. And I mean, Gvardiol's another name that's doing the rounds. I mean, we kind of linked with him earlier in the window, and naturally, as we missed out on targets, the previous ones, as you said, kind of then come back into the reports. Don't know how accurate it is. I know that Manchester City are potentially interested in Gvardiol as well. It's going to be very expensive. Leipzig are a selling club, but they're not really in a massive position to need to sell at the moment, I would say, in terms of they've already lost Mukiele to PSG. I know Gvardiol plays more fullback than he does centre-back, but I don't know if they want to lose another key defender or not. Do you think a deal for Gvardiol is possible? Like, would that be a good signing? I just think they need a bit more experience.
I think this one would be even harder than Kimpembe, to be honest. He joined
Yeah.
Leipzig last season, so
Yeah.
he's had one season there. The only saving grace we've got is they do want Werner, but how much do they want Werner? Is it at the cost of Gvardiol, who's one of their best defenders? Joined last year. Like, yeah, I don't know. He's a big young talent. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a swap deal and money put forward, but again, how likely is that? We've already tried that with Delict. Swap deals require everyone, all the agents, every party, every club, all the wages to be
Yeah.
set, and they're just so rare. You never really see them. So yeah, as I said, if I'd like us to try it, give Leipzig a call, but just it has to be quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't mess about.
Yeah, no, for sure, mate, for sure. And just Graham Bailey from, I think, 90 Minute Football saying that among the list of alternatives, obviously, we've discussed Skriniar, we've discussed Gvardiol. Mate, what are your thoughts on Bayern Munich players? Let's start with Upamecano. Obviously, I think he signed last summer from Leipzig when Nagelsmann went there. He took him with him. I don't know if he's done that well. I've admittedly not watched a lot of him. Obviously, with Delict coming in, Bayern are probably looking to shift on.
I'm not a fan. I'm not
Not a fan of his,
him.
mate.
No, not at all. I think he's too mistake prone. I remember watching Leipzig actually a lot because obviously when we were signing Werner, I watched a lot of their games. Because somehow I was actually excited about Werner, but let's not
Yeah.
talk about that. Yeah, no, I obviously just naturally I watched the game and defensively I always really liked Konate, who ended up signing for
Yeah, great
Liverpool, and
signing.
he's done really well. And I watched Upamecano even back then, and I was thinking like, nah, like I don't know, there was something about him. There was also a report I think a while ago, just because Chelsea were interested in him, and they said that our scouts weren't convinced. I mean, to be honest with you, like I didn't really take too much into that anyway, because our scouts are rubbish. But yeah, I think I spoke to a few Bayern fans, and they're not really, they don't really think he's that great. He's very good on the ball, but I just think defensively, like he's not. Nah, I wouldn't want him, to be honest with you. He's not my cup of tea personally.
No, that's fair enough, mate. I mean, what about Benjamin Pavard? This is another name
So it's
seems
for
to
me.
crop up, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's yeah.
it's
I'm
another
not
one.
sure I know too much
It's
about
like
him.
it's another one. It's like for me, it's a red flag if Bayern Munich are trying to get rid of you. For me,
Yeah,
again, Pavard versatile, but yeah, it's just we've gone from Kounde, Kimpembe, these sort of talks to Pavard and Upamecano. Like I know they play for Bayern, but I don't think they're not signings that get me excited. And this is what
yeah,
worries me is because these are the types of signings I expect us to eventually make now. And it's like I don't want them at Chelsea. These are the
mm,
guys for me that are going to end up being sold in a year or two, perhaps two
yeah,
years. That they'll eventually become dead wood. Like it's just that they don't really make sense to me. Whereas if you go for like a Skriniar or a Gvardiol, they've got more. First of all, they're better players, but they've got more sort of longevity in them. Like
yeah,
Skriniar's like 27, he's in like the peak of his career. Gvardiol's like 21, he's got years to develop and grow, and he's already like one of the best prospects, centre back prospects in the world. So yeah, I'm not keen on these Bayern guys personally.
yeah. No, mate, Mark, I get what you're saying. I mean, last on that list before we move on, mate. Pau Torres. We discussed it last night on a different stream. He was one that was linked with moves at the start of the window or the weeks building up to the window. It's all gone a little bit quiet on him. He's got about a 45 million, I think it's what 55 million euros release clause. Do you think that would be a good sign? He's obviously left-footed centre back. I don't think he's that bad. A lot of people say that he's not great. I think he's all right. I wouldn't be against it. Do you think that's one we could potentially go and revisit? I mean, what are your thoughts on Pau Torres?
Um, Another one. I think he's good. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah,
Again, another one who's very, very good on the ball. a lot of modern day centre backs. Like the only good thing about our centre back targets is they're all really good on the ball. Like
Yeah.
there's not been one stinker for me at the moment because I think Tuchel knows that as well. Is like ball playing ability, you have to be elite in the Premier League. Like you just have to, especially in the system we play, because they have the ball. They switch the ball a lot to the centre backs. So yeah, they get a lot of touches per game. And they need to be able to play, vertical passes, long passes as well. So I've watched a bit of Pau Torres. I mean, I watched him in the semi-final against Liverpool, and I didn't think he was good at all. But I also, again, I spoke to a few just people in general who watch the Liga more than me. They said he's not really a wide centre back, so I thought that was interesting. So
Mm.
they don't think he'd be, they think he'd be more of a middle centre back, which is obviously clashes with Silva and potentially Koulibaly playing there. So yeah, I don't really know about this one, but again, it's one that can be done very, very quickly. He's got a release clause, so there's no negotiating. You just send the, say we're activating his clause, and then it's done. It's up to the player then. And if Pau Torres is not going to turn down a move to Chelsea, is he? So it's actually one I'm keeping an eye on because I think this one could very well happen. But again, like there's been no indication Tuchel wants him or likes him, so
Yeah.
I don't know at this point. It's just everyone's just throwing names out there, and then in the next couple of days, hopefully one will stick, and we'll find out who that is they're going for.
Yeah, no, mate, I think so. Before we move on, guys, almost 150 of us in here now. So, guys, thanks for your support as always. Please do make sure you smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We could reach the 1K during this stream, so please do keep clicking that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Could reach the 1K. So, yeah, if you're not subscribed and you're tuning in now, make sure you do, guys. And please keep smashing the likes. I mean, Pys Bro, are you concerned that reports coming out? I mean, from Simon Johnson at The Athletic, I'm sure you've seen it. About how Thomas Tuchel is becoming a bit agitated. There's still 5 weeks of the transfer window remaining, and Tuchel is targeting 4 more signings. And while securing permanent deals for unwanted personnel may be difficult, finding them alone is a realistic option. But when you hear that Tuchel's feeling a bit agitated, does that concern you at all? Because I feel that like all this extra responsibility, which we did want, the fans wanted him to have to be in charge of the transfers. But do you think it's all getting a little bit too much?
What did you mean in terms of too much, bro?
In terms of like the responsibility of having to like obviously coach and manage the team.
Oh yeah, I mean,
do you think it's all building up a bit too much for him?
He's already said he doesn't really want to do it in the future.
Yeah.
He said, long term, I have to be focused more on coaching. And this was the thing as well, is like I know this from Tuchel anyway, because one of the first things he said, well, not one of the first things, but a few months into the Chelsea job, he was asked, like about how things are going and things, and he said, one of the things I really like is obviously the relationship with Marina and Czech is because they just let me do my work. They just let me focus on the coaching. So, look, I'm sure Todd Bowley had a discussion. He said, look, Marina and Czech are not going to stay for whatever reason. Tuchel will know that. And Tuchel's like, okay, I'll help out. I'll try and do my best. But clearly, as the window's developing, he's not liking it. He wants to coach the team. He doesn't want to be doing transfer calls and talks and stuff. But I said this at the start of the summer, like there should have been a period. Well, there was a period before, or the window was starting. But when Tuchel went on holiday and stuff like that, like he could have took like a couple of days or something just to, there's been talks of him using a data system and things from his time at Dortmund. Like he could have just sat down for a couple of nights and worked on a list of targets. Look, here are my top targets for each position. Here are the backups, decide there and then, so even if you get one of the backups, you're not unhappy, and just, hand that to Todd and let him do it. Obviously, he will still have to call to convince the players once the negotiation's there, but at least then you're not constantly going to Todd Bowley saying, Todd's coming back to him, in my opinion, and be like, right, well, Kounde's not worked out. Who do you want now? Like that should already be there, in my opinion. So if that's why he's agitated, I can totally understand. But at the same time, like the list should have already been worked on for the positions. And yeah, I also think I don't know if it's just reporters trying to make a meal out of it as such, of the situation, because clearly he's agitated, but like there's more behind the scenes in terms of targets that like basically, I don't think anyone knows how they actually do it. As I said, has he already handed him a list of targets? Like, what is he specifically agitated about? That is what I want to know. Like, what You know what I mean? It's very, very hard to judge when you're not at Cobham. You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean? Like,
yeah, it is true, mate. I mean, I mean, I know the preseason's not been great so far. We've got one more game on Friday. Do you think that kind of like, not being able to get targets in that he wants, obviously, the extra responsibility. Do you think that's potentially contributed to the poor preseason so far as well? Do you think that's got a bit of a factor in it, that perhaps Tuchel is not fully concentrated on what he's actually employed to do, and that's kind of managing and improving the team? Do you think that's part of the reason why we seem like we struggle so much in preseason? Like, do you think that could be
yeah,
contributing potentially? I mean,
I don't
I don't
know.
want to make excuses, but extra responsibility is obviously taking away some of the focus from the main task at hand.
Potentially. Although I mean, there was a report that came out yesterday. I think Adam Newsom from Football London
Yeah,
said, the players didn't really want to play against Arsenal. They were really tired because they've had like 6 flights in 4 days or something, and
yeah, it's poorly
um,
planned. That.
I think you could see from the game against Arsenal. I was wondering, like, there was literally players, especially in the attacking third, were not moving for the ball, and
Yeah,
Tuchel was blaming that on they want to leave and stuff like that, but it also could be tiredness. He said they've been doing double sessions every single day, and that's a part of pre-season. So in some sense, I need the players to suck it up and get on with it. But I do have sympathy a little bit for them. They are humans at the end of the day. They do get tired, even if it is their job. So I don't know, bro. Again, it's another one. I've not been on the US tour.
yeah,
I've not been with the squad. I've not seen what they're doing. We can only judge on the games, and it seems like we've not been doing much. We get fed all the LA Dodgers prop. We've been getting fed, them riding roller coasters and things. But I'm sure there has been tactics worked on, because we tried that 4-2-2 system in the Arsenal game,
mm,
and it didn't work. But maybe they only worked on that for a couple of days. I don't know. We're not there, so it's very it's so hard to
yeah,
sort of This is why I don't really like people going against Tuchel, because you're not
mm,
there, so how can you even speak? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, you can speak on the performance, yeah, but there's context to everything. Like, Werner clearly wants to leave,
yeah,
100%. He wasn't even trying, but for the likes of Mason Mount against Arsenal, right? When he gets on the ball and he's involved, Chelsea usually play better. In that game against
mm,
Arsenal, Mason Mount was not involved at all. So for me, it's no wonder Chelsea played bad. Kai Havertz not good enough. Like, he needs to
yeah,
improve. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
No,
Gallagher
mate,
in a pit, like, you know what I mean. Gallagher in a pivot. If we'd played that first half against Arsenal with our like sort of main team, I don't think we get smashed 4-0. You know what I mean?
no,
Like, there's
maybe not.
context. There's
Yeah, no,
context to everything.
yeah, for sure, mate. I mean, I don't know if Gibran is bantering here or trolling, but I'm not sure selling Brozier and Werner and buying Calvert-Lewin is the right answer. That's got to be some sort of trolling for sure. I mean, there's no way that's a legit opinion. It just can't be. Pies, let's moving on to outgoings, mate. It's been frustrating trying to bring players in. It's proved equally frustrating trying to get players out the door as well. But one player I think, well, me and you are definitely in agreement with, and I think a vast majority of the Chelsea fan base are in agreement with, is that it's definitely time for Timo Werner and the club to part ways. Now, we've had a bit of an acceleration on news on this. Fabrizio saying that Werner could leave Chelsea this summer. He's one of the names on Juventus' list alongside Allegri's main priority, which is Morata. He was obviously discussed during negotiations for the Ligt, and Chelsea also tried to include Werner loan in talks with Leipzig for Mukiele, where we tried to hijack that PSG's deal there. Obviously, Werner on massive wages. Do you think most likely scenario here is that he departs on loan?
I don't care, bro. Get him out the
Yeah,
door.
just any deal.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'd love to get money back from him. Like, I'd be dancing around the room if we could get 20, 30 million from him. But
that's a
you
big
know,
ask.
it is a big ask with his Chelsea form. But I'm praying for one of these. I'm going to call them stupid clubs, because they are stupid if they spend money on him. No, I could understand Bundesliga clubs, because he does suit that league a whole lot better. But Serie A, like, under Allegri in a physical league, that doesn't really make much sense to me personally. But I don't really care as long as he leaves. He has to leave. He doesn't want to be here. He makes my eyes bleed. I'm sorry if you like Werner in the chat, but I don't
Yeah.
like him at all. Yeah, he doesn't want to be here, so get him gone. Same as Ziyech. Do something fast. Hurry up.
Yeah.
Get him out.
Yeah, I mean, there's also reports of Newcastle potentially being interested as well. I mean, I guess we don't really have a preference where he goes. I mean, there's not exactly a big market for him at all. I mean, it seems like Leipzig potentially returning on loan there. Although I've read a report that Tedesco, the manager there, potentially not that keen on him. It perhaps doesn't fit kind of the style of play that Leipzig are looking to implement now. I mean, I don't know how he would do with a like sort of in a front line with what's that, Szoboszlai, the midfield, like he's more of a midfield player, but like alongside like the likes of Kounde and stuff. I don't know how that would work out, but yeah, if we can just get any sort of loan deal, I think we'll struggle to sell him permanently because of the massive wages he's on. And yeah, I mean, the sooner we get rid of him, the better. He doesn't want to be here. He's not good enough. We all know that. But I guess you're not surprised that how difficult we're finding it to shift players on, because it's just, you know, all the work under the previous regime where signing players that aren't good enough, signing them on massive contracts. It's no surprise that we're struggling to get rid of these guys now, is it? And we've really got to change the way that we operate in the market.
Yeah, 100%. We need to probably gonna have to pay some of Werner's wages, or maybe he takes a
Yeah,
huge pay cut. I don't know. Again, it's how much do these guys want to leave? At the end of the day, when it comes down to contract discussions, we'll see how much he wants to leave by how big of a wage cut he's going to take. So
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely concerning, because as much as there's rumors about these guys leaving, it is hard to get outgoing. So we'll see what happens. But the players have got to push, bro. Like talk to
yeah.
their agents. If you want to leave, do something yourself. You know what I mean? So get something lined up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I mean, just obviously on that, Werner, hopefully we can get him out the door. Hakim Ziyech as well. I've seen a report that supposedly he didn't even get on the team bus or something somewhere. I can't remember the exact report. I mean, I would look on Twitter to find it now, but it might take me a little bit of time.
Simon Phillips, I think, right?
But yeah, I think that was the one. He obviously wants to go to AC Milan. Pys, obviously, if we get Werner and Ziyech out, which we're hoping to do, you know, before I move on to attacking targets, just in general of other Deadwood players, like we'd be making a big mistake if we refuse to get rid of Alonso and Aspi to Barca because of the strained relationships. Do you think we just need to just forget that it's Barcelona and just let them go?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I said this yesterday as well. I was like, just like, there's no time for point scoring. Oh look,
no,
look, Barca. Here's what we can do. Well, we're keeping Aspi and Alonso. Like, we should be thanking them for wanting that. You know what I mean? We
yeah,
should be
yeah,
thanking them.
yeah.
Get go, bro. Like Aspi, I love Aspi, but even in the preseason games, bro,
Looks washed, hasn't
he's
he? Yeah.
beyond washed. He can't, bro. Thing is, I don't want him to stay, because it's like,
It
remember
takes up a
Ivanovic.
space, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you remember Ivanovic as well. It kind of like, the longer they stay, it kind of ruins their, not legacy, but it ruins, like, we don't want to think of next year Aspi being horrible. Like, we don't want that year to be a part of his Chelsea career, So
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. Like Alonso, especially. Like again, like Werner, I'll
It's
be dancing
poor,
around the
isn't it?
room. I'll be
Mate,
dancing around the room.
this guy is destined never to leave. I mean, I hope we do sort ourselves out and, move these players on, because we simply have to. We haven't got a choice. I mean, are you surprised that we seem to be haggling about for sort of a few million here and there? Do you think, I just feel personally, it's about time that, we just accepted, we're not going to be able to get much money for these players. Either just whatever bids come in, just take those bids and just move them on, get those wages off the book, restructure the wage bill, etc., and kind of start again. I feel we've just got to be realistic and accept we're not going to get much money for these guys, and we've just got to move them on, because for me, like, there's upwards of almost 10 players really that we should be trying to get out the door, but I can't see them all leaving at once. But having said that, mate, are you surprised? Does it surprise you that there's a complete lack of takers? Like, do you think that that was always going to happen, wasn't it? It was always going to be difficult to shift these players on. Are you surprised there's no market for them at all, seemingly, or very minimal, like 1 to 2 clubs?
Yeah, they don't perform at Chelsea, so why would any other club want them?
Yeah,
There's always going to be perhaps 1 or 2 clubs that want our Deadwood, but at the end of the day, they're on huge wages. We don't know what prices Todd's going to ask for. It's very, very hard as well when you're trying to focus on incomings. Like, there's just so much to do this window. There's so
yeah,
much to
it's
do
mad.
and such limited time. I mean, at least when the Premier League starts, Tuchel can put these guys in the under-23s and just say, right, sort yourselves a loan move out or something, and we'll
Yeah, yeah,
revisit again next year. But again, that's half our problem is we keep putting these guys out on loan, so then we have the same problems the next summer.
Well, we just
We
extend their contracts by a year and send them on
yeah,
loan and just
yeah,
push the problem a year down the line. It doesn't really
exactly.
solve.
So
It doesn't solve anything by doing that.
no, but for the short term, you have to do it because otherwise they stay around and they're no use. Then they might as well go and play football somewhere and try and get try and do really well and then get a fee for them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, for sure, mate. I mean, it'll certainly be interesting to see what happens going forwards in terms of outgoings, but just as important as incomings, we do need to move players on. The bill, it's so bloated, the squad. There's so many players that aren't good enough. The wage bill's astronomical. We need to shift some of these names off. But Pys, I just wanted to round out, mate, with talking about the attack. Now, it's clear from pre-season that all right, we've added Sterling. By all accounts, we feel that's going to be a big plus for us this season. It's not going to solve all the problems at all. Fully aware of that. How concerned are you, mate, that at the moment we don't seem to be linked with any attacking signings, and the attack has looked dreadful in pre-season? It looks like Werner and Ziyech are both going to go, or at least one of those. Supposedly, Brozier could take one of those spots, but it doesn't exactly fill me with confidence. And there seems to be no other links with really any forward players at all. I mean, how concerning is the attack for you as we're 10 days away from the season starting? Because for me, mate, it's major concern. Because I do not feel happy with Kai Havertz going in as the main striker as things stand. I just cannot see him scoring 10, 15 Premier League goals. It's just not going to happen. He just hasn't got it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I definitely want to see better attacking play in this season as well from last season, because the last few months were quite dull in my opinion. It wasn't great at times when I was at the ground. It was very, very boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in terms of individually, again, Werner, Ziyech, two out the door there. Depending on the incomings, you can instantly improve that attack with
Yeah.
two good players. So yeah, it's definitely huge. We need to sort this centre back out. I'll be shocked if we go for another centre back now. By the way, I think
Oh,
it's
we
past that.
can't. We
Yeah,
can't.
no, it's got to be one more centre back, and then look at the forward area. Especially how angry Tuchel was after the game. Like he
Yeah.
literally publicly called the attackers out, which
Oh,
for me,
mate.
it's funny, but it doesn't do any help either.
No,
To be
I don't
honest,
know.
it's not going to help internally. So. But again, hopefully that's sort of a message like, well, go on and get out. You know what I mean? Werner,
Get a move on.
yeah, get a
Yeah.
move on then. I don't rate you, so maybe Tuchel's just lost his head a little bit, but maybe that would do some
I
good in
mean,
terms of getting them out.
mate, how would you feel about Brozier taking one of those slots? I mean, by all accounts, I mean he wanted to leave. I think it's clear he wants to leave, or he did at the time. I don't know if his opinion has changed. I wanted that move to West Ham. Since they signed Skamaka, that seems to have kind of fallen through. I mean, do you think his mindset and his mentality is in the right space for him to have a place in the squad at Chelsea? Because it's clear that he wanted out. And it was a clear path for him to get minutes as well. But even keeping him, I know we can't address all the areas, but even keeping him, I don't really think that doesn't make us any better.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The difficult thing with Broja as well is like Tuchel's not seen him in pre-season, so it's like,
Yeah, it's no minutes.
yeah. I mean, you're taking a risk there. For me, when I was watching Southampton, he was more of a, he worked more on the transition, a bit like Lukaku would for us. But I still think he's pretty raw in terms of finishing. I've seen him, bang some. He's definitely got, in terms of shot power and stuff, he's miles ahead of Havertz. Like,
Yeah.
he is a striker, more than Havertz. Like, he's got that shot power. He's got that placement. It's just sometimes he's a bit raw. Sometimes I think last season he hit them a bit too hard and they would go over the bar, or he's not quite polished, but obviously still very young. So yeah, I'd like to see him in the squad, to be honest, bro, because we need that sort of profile. We need that big guy up front as well. Let's not forget he's very fast as well. So I think he would definitely help us in and around the box. He's strong. He's not as immobile as Lukaku. So I think he would do well for us. And yeah, what's the harm with having him as a backup? Try him for a
No.
season. I know he wants to play, but at the same time, if he's not looking at our current situation and thinking I can't get into this team, then he's got problems himself, in my opinion. So,
Mate, massive problems. I'm not sure who Mbalo is. I don't know if he means Mbolo, this guy, but Mbolo's already gone to Monaco. If you mean the Swiss striker, so that won't be happening. Before I just quickly get something, guys, over 200 of us in here now. So thanks for all tuning in, guys. We're 20 subs from the 1K now. There's definitely 20 of you in here that haven't subscribed. So please do subscribe to the channel. Let's make sure we hit that 1K mark. 20 subs to go, guys. Over 200 of you in here. So please do click that subscribe button. Really appreciate the support and continue to smash those likes. I mean, Pys, obviously, let's presume Broja stays. That's sort of the number 9 profile sorted. We clearly still need another forward player, in my opinion. I think you probably share those thoughts as well. Who is there we can get? Because I'm looking at it, and there's not many names out there that A, would be available, and B, improve the forward line and are attainable. I mean, the most logical one, I mean, I've seen it quite a lot in the chat, by the way, as well. Memphis Depay at Barcelona. I know we'd have to deal with Barcelona or whatever. We can put that to one side. But do you think Memphis Depay is someone that would be a good fit at Chelsea potentially? And if not, who do you feel that we can... who would you like to see come in? Because as I said, there's not many targets about, is there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're probably going to look at more sort of... it depends on who leaves. Like, if Werner leaves, I think we'll look at obviously a left-sided player that can potentially also play up front. I know there's been a couple linked to that Martin Terrier guy in the Ligue 1 who plays up front and on the left. But yeah, it's gonna be hard. Definitely could do with a right-sided player that can potentially cover at wing back as well. I know there's been links to Adama. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to sign like an out-and-out striker, in my opinion, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people in the chat saying like St. Maximum, Jared Bowen. I mean, I read something from Simon Phillips yesterday that Jared Bowen was a name that was given to him. There's potential interest there, but I do really like Bowen as a player. But if I'm being totally honest, mate, West Ham are going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. You think Rice would be hard to get? Like Bowen's going to be equally as hard. I mean, what are your thoughts on Bowen? I mean, I think that's it's almost impossible to do, really.
Yeah, probably impossible. Plus, I think again he's more of a transition player for me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'd work in our system, to be honest with you. I've seen him for England a few times, and he hasn't impressed me for England. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest with you. He's a good player, but in terms of Chelsea, he wouldn't move the needle for me personally.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, what about someone like Wilfried Zaha? I mean, that's something that's coming out in the chat as well. I mean, I've seen a few people on Twitter mention it as well. I mean, Lewis, I've seen him say that he would be happy with that. I mean, Zaha is one that has been linked with moves.
Well.
Yeah, attitude.
His attitude.
I think it's quite. I mean, for me, I think it's quite telling that at the amount of years he's been at Palace, and supposedly for how good people say he is, there's not really been any real interest in him. The only interest, like I remember, that was concrete was Everton were prepared to spend about 50, 60 million quid on him. So I think that sort of perhaps is maybe a story in itself that if he's this good, he's been at Palace for all these years, why has no one really taken a punt on him? Like it's like I don't know if that's telling or not.
The problem with Zaha is clubs have tried to buy him. It's just obviously Palace have always priced him out. He's got 1 year left on his contract now, and he would definitely move in an instant. I just think, like, honestly, when I get triggered watching him for Crystal Palace, like, as much as he's a good player, his attitude really annoys me. Like, as soon as if he doesn't get past the ball, bro, like, he literally throws his arms up. Like, Tuchel would not, like, you know what I mean? Tuchel would not, like, work with him well, in my opinion, unless he completely changed it, which he has not done in his whole career. Like, he's always been a sulker, a moaner. You know, like, if someone else misses a chance, he goes mental. Like, I don't think that's the right sort of vibe we're looking for, as much as he is a good player. Because he is a very good player. I like Zaha, yeah.
Yeah, no, mate, I like him as well. But again, big price, you say. Mate, who would you like to see? You know, I mean, people in the chat saying Liao as well. Liao is going to be very expensive. His contract's up in at the end of not this season, end of next season. So next summer, there's potential for him to be cheaper. I mean, where do you see Chelsea going with this? Do you still believe that a forward player will come in?
Yeah, a forward player will come in. I'm just not sure who. I'd like Pedro Neto, to be honest. I think
that's a name that's come in the chat a few times. Do you think he'd be expensive from Wolves?
He probably wouldn't he? Yeah, he would cost a bit. But yeah, the thing is with him as well, he's just come back from a nasty injury. So, but before that, he was ridiculous. Like, I would definitely have taken him at Chelsea. I still probably would. He scored a few goals in pre-season, I think, for Wolves. So, yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. I don't know if Chelsea will go in for that. Obviously, I don't think we've ever dealt with Wolves as well, as far as I can remember. I
No,
don't
I
think
don't
we
think we
ever
have.
signed a Wolves player, so I don't know
Well,
what their
no.
board is like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I just don't
Yeah,
know who we I just don't know who we'd get. I mean, people saying Elise from Palace as well. I think Elise was at it was in the academy at Chelsea. I mean, I think he's an exciting player. Again, young. I mean, what sort of profile do you think we need, Pi? Someone that's kind of creative, a goal scorer, or just really ideally a bit of both would be spot on, really. Do you think there's any chance of Rafa Leao? I know we just touched on it, but it's do you
no,
think no
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 chance
chance
for
of
him. No
no.
chance for him. 100 million, 80 million, 100 million, something like that. He's also in
Yeah, no,
talks to
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
extend his contract. I'll tell you one player I would really like at Chelsea, but I think I've never really said this because I think he'd clash with Mount too much. Would be
Yeah,
James Madison. I
mate,
really like
Madison's.
James
I
Madison.
like Madison. He's class.
Yeah, I think him in that Mount role, I think, it's sort of the inside 10. He's a creator,
Mm,
he's a goal scorer as well. But I think that just clashes with Mount too much, in my opinion. But I'd love him at Chelsea. I think he's a really good
yeah,
shout as well. Again, though,
mate.
like Leicester, they demand
Oh,
stupid prices for their
yeah.
players. So, yeah,
What we got here? Chiesa, I think is a good player, but again,
coming
I'm
back
not
from
sure.
injury, isn't
Yeah, coming back from a long-term ACL injury, don't know how good he's going to be after. I'm not saying he's going to be terrible, but yeah, I'm not sure that's right now. What about Anthony? Obviously, missed out on Rafinha. Do you think Anthony at Ajax could be one that's a possibility
I don't
or
think so
not?
now because they've sold. I think they've sold a few players, and us Man
Yeah,
United were still after him. And I think their director said like, we're not selling any more players unless it's a stupid bid, like 70, 80 million or something. So yeah, no, I want to stay away from Eredivisie, to be honest with you. I know
yeah,
it's different to Ziyech, but he's weak, he's small. Like I think he could pick up a lot of injuries. Like he seems he's not a goal scorer. Like he seems to be more focused on showboating and flair, which is more like
yeah,
St. Maximin, who's just been mentioned there. But
yeah,
yeah, at least with St. Maximin, he's definitely Premier League proven. I love watching St. Maximin play. Like,
yeah,
it's funny when Newcastle are playing a big team and it's on telly, I'll watch it because of St. Maximin. Because
yeah,
I genuinely think I love watching. Like, he's one of the players like I watch football for. He's an entertainer. He's a dribbler. He's fast. I really like him. It's just again end product. Like, is he really
yeah.
what we need? You know what I mean?
He's
Like,
not. He's not consistent enough either, in
no,
my
yeah.
opinion. Like it's on his day. Like there's no consistency there. Mate, before we round out, just last couple of things. I want to touch on a forward player that is still here. How how big a role do you feel that Callum Hudson-Odoi could play this season? We've seen he's kind of beefed up over the summer, added some muscle in the gym. He's bulked up, etc. He's not been that great in pre-season, but admittedly, he's not played a lot of foot. That those games will be his first games for a good few months. He was missing for a large part of the back end of the season. Do you think he can contribute massively this season, or do you feel that maybe it's just not going to happen for Callum?
He's not been great in pre-season, to be fair.
No, he's not. He's been poor, hasn't
He's
he?
been very
Yeah,
poor. I was expecting big things. Yeah, for me, it's the last season for Callum to really show something before he
yeah,
goes out on loan. I'm still a big fan, but yeah, it's coming to a point now. It's like how many seasons can we do if this is you're promising, but you're not quite there. Like how many seasons can we do of this? I know he's still
yeah.
young, but it's like fans are already annoyed with him even last season. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a bit tiring now.
Yeah. No, mate, I'd fully agree. And just the final thing, mate. Obviously we've got Udinese on Friday. This is a big week. I mean, what just your thoughts really on that game? Not that it's the result kind of irrelevant, but what would you like to see from that game? Do you think we need to see basically that what Tuchel thinks is pretty much his team to start against Everton? Play the majority of that game. What would you like to see from that game against Udinese? Because it's our last preseason game. We need to really almost see, in my opinion, virtually our best side, or the side we feel is pretty much going to start against Everton for, say, 60, 70 minutes. I don't want to see one half, one team, another half, another team. We've got to play what we feel is our best team pretty much. I mean, what would you like to see from the game?
Pretty much what you just said.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to see. I don't want to see, like you said, rotated teams. Well, by the time we play Udinese, we'll be pretty much
1
1 week
week.
away from
Yeah,
Everton. So yeah, we need to see something like main team 60, 70 minutes. Probably going to be Sterling, Havertz, Mount, probably Chilwell,
Yeah,
Kovacic, Jorginho, Reece, and then Koulibaly, Silva, Chalobah with Mendy and goal. I'd imagine that would
yeah,
probably be the team to play against Everton. Yeah, and I want to see that for 65, 70 minutes against Udinese for sure. I don't want to see the likes of Werner and Batshuayi and shit. Like, if that
yeah,
happens, I will be annoyed at Tuchel because it's like, well, now you're just taking the piss. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, yeah,
I mean, do you think obviously Loftus Cheek and Kante will be
oh yeah,
available to
sure. I forgot about Kante.
they'll
Yeah,
be able to travel. I mean, surely they're going to play some part as well. You'd expect,
yeah.
wouldn't
I'd
you?
imagine Kante would probably come off the bench as
Yeah,
would Ruben maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you know what Tuchel's like. He loves playing Kante, but
he
Kante for
does love
me,
Kante. Yeah,
bro, I've almost forgot about him. It's sad
I
because
forgot about him as well. Yeah,
he's so injury prone now, and like even last season, bro, his performances were dropping off in the league. You know, I was at a lot of games last season, home games,
yeah.
being a season ticket holder, and I'm just like, you know, like there was amount of times where he was sloppy on the ball or he'd give the ball away, and I'm just like, this isn't Kante, man. Like this isn't Kante. You know, he just he wasn't looking the same. He's definitely
Mm.
declined, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Certainly, we need to see a massive improvement from the preseason games you had in the US. Hopefully, we can put in a half decent performance. But it seems like a good place to round out, bro. Let me just quickly get to a couple of final things in the chat. What's this here? Reece won't play defensive midfield. If we did sign Dumfries, if we signed Dumfries and a centre back, would Reece play DM? No, Reece would still be first choice right wing back for me. Let's be patient. It took Klopp 5 years to get rid of the dead wood. Yeah, no, I appreciate that point, but I don't know if we can afford to hold on to these players for years on. And I know we're not going to get rid of them all this summer, but we need to shift the bulk of them out. We definitely don't need Pochettino, if that's what you mean by that. What else we got here? Mount doesn't really play right wing. It's like right-sided 10. It's more of an inside forward. And Callum could play there maybe, but he's probably better down the left. What else we got? Tuchel adjusts the team to fit him. That's one thing I do agree. Like I understand that Tuchel's frustrated with these players, but there's also a point where it's like, for me, it's like you're clearly a very good manager. You know, you definitely improve defensive players for sure. Like defenders improve under you. But just lastly, Pys, so before we round out, bro, are you concerned about how Tuchel, since he's been at Chelsea, no attackers have improved under him? Like he hasn't really improved any of the attackers. And maybe as an attacker, I would look at that and think, A, going to Chelsea is a bit of a graveyard for attacking players, and B, in Tuchel's reign, the attackers that have gone there, none of them have done anything. I mean, do you feel Tuchel needs to do more to get more performance out of these attacking players? We can't just blame the players every time. Sure, at some point, you've got to take some responsibility, and he needs to try and get more out of them.
I don't really think this is the case for Pulisic, but the other
Yeah,
ones, for me, Werner is helpless.
yeah, lost cause.
Ziyech, for me, lost cause as well.
Yeah,
Whatever manager Ziyech has, he'll still do the same thing. For me, he'll get a few assists. He has a couple of moments of magic a season, like the Spurs goal and the late Crystal Palace goal. He'll do a few things per season, but he's not really suited for the Premier League anyway, in my opinion. He's too slow for a
yeah.
winger. His dribbling as well is absolutely awful, awful. He can't. He never, ever, ever takes players on. He's so bad. I don't get it. And that is obviously down to a lack of pace as well. But he's just so one-dimensional. He only
Yeah,
has a left foot. Defenders know exactly what he's going to do every single time, and that is like, yeah, it's ridiculously predictable. So I think there's two there already that I think that are helpless that you can't blame Tuchel for.
yeah.
Hudson-Odoi.
He's
Yeah,
still
again, but
21.
but
He's got time. Yeah.
he's inconsistent as well.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you make Hudson-Odoi your main guy, then you really want that? Like, I don't know. I just think Havertz would be interesting. I'm not sure if. Thing is, though, like people always say, like Tuchel doesn't get enough out the attackers. Well, what other manager really out there really is
Yeah,
there?
yeah, no, mate.
Can,
I do agree on
I
that.
don't really get it.
Like, I just kind of, I do feel that he perhaps could do more to get more out of them. But then you say, as you say, who realistically, if I don't know, if another manager comes to Chelsea for the start of the season,
It'll be the same thing, bro. With these
yeah,
players.
exactly. Like you see the ridiculous sections of the fan base on Twitter that are Tuchel out. I don't know, they're just doing it for attention or whatever. But who's actually going to come in and get any more out of those attacking players than Tuchel is? I don't think there's many managers that would. I think even Klopp and Gvardiol would struggle to get more out of them if they are managing Chelsea. It's just, yeah, I just not sure the system's right. I don't really know what it is, but yeah, it's certainly, you know, it's definitely a concerning area that needs big improvement. And, you know, in the pre-season, it hasn't looked like it's gelled any better at all so far. I mean, all I can hope is that another body comes in there, and, you know, as the season plays on, you know, it kind of gels, and maybe Sterling makes a big difference and Havertz actually steps up. You know, I don't know. There's so many questions, but yeah, we'll round it out there. Let me just quickly finish this. Jules Kounde from Borussia München. Do you mean Mönchengladbach? I've got to be perfectly honest. I haven't actually really heard of him. So is he good? Is he?
He's like a
midfield
DM
player.
midfielder.
Yeah. Pre-season giving me 15-16 season vibes. I mean, I don't know if it's that bad, but potentially. But yeah, mate, seems like a good point to round out there. Bro, thanks so much for your time as always. Really appreciate it. Guys, make sure you check out Pys on Twitter and also your website.
Yeah, also, I was going to say one more thing.
Yeah, go on,
check
mate.
out Shop CFC 365 if you guys want any, you know, Chelsea-related designs. I've started up a new shop, so go and check that out, guys. Sure, Charlie will put it in the description or something.
Yeah, mate, I'll do that.
Ship anywhere in the world. So if there's anything you like on there, hit me up on Twitter or whatever, and just yeah, that'll be great if you guys could check that out. Cheers.
Yeah, guys, make sure you do that. And also, mate, podcast that's still going. Yeah, episodes coming soon, are they?
I don't really know about this. It is still going. It's just it's very hard. It's very hard to get the guests, and also, as I said, I think some journalists have kind of fell off this window. So
they have a little bit, haven't they? Yeah,
like there's not really many I want to talk to at the moment because, with all due respect, I don't know what to trust anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like it seems to me that this Todd Bowley sort of ownership and that has kind of not flitted out the leaks and stuff, because they're always going to get news from somewhere. But I don't know, like, you know, when Matt Law put, you know, Chelsea set to sign Kounde and it hasn't happened. Like, if he did that in previous windows, that would mean done. Done. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, and even he's getting stuff like not fully right, and I'm just like, what's going on here? So yeah, there probably will be some episodes in the future. But yeah, it's not like a thing that I have ever took on to be, you know, like this is a weekly podcast or something. It's more like special episodes every now and then.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, make sure you check that out as well, guys. And yeah, guys, by the way, still over 170 of you here, and we need 6 more subscribers for the 1K mark. So there's definitely 6 of you that haven't subscribed. So please do, on your way out, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Get me to that 1K mark. 6 of you to do that, and continue to smash the likes as well. Pys, thanks as always, bro. As I said, all that's linked in the description, so make sure you go and check all that stuff out. Guys, thank you so much for getting involved in the chat. As always, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. Great to have you on board, guys. And yeah, I'll be back in the next couple of days with some more news if anything's broken. And then I might do a watch-along as well for the Udinese game, so stay tuned for that as well. But yeah, thanks as always, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Onwards and upwards and up the Chelsea. Take care, guys.